I'm meeting with the Western States 100 champion, the U Roy, number one place, and Troy, second place winner, Adam Peterman. How you doing, Adam?
Hey Cody, good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on. I feel like it was like a kind of a last minute thing. You were like, "Hey, I'm free tomorrow," and we just jumped on this. So I definitely appreciate you willing to jump on. I know just from your Strava and your IG, it seems like you were pretty busy over there. So
Yeah, some days it's yeah, ski season kind of just ended here. It's a lot more spring-like here in Montana. So been getting on the bike and running trails a little more as they dry out. So yeah, it's been good.
that's good. Would you have a snowy winter there, or pretty mellow?
Yeah, it was pretty snowy. So I went to Thailand for the World Champs in early November, and since I got back, yeah, mid-November, there's been snow on the ground in Missoula. So I feel like usually it snows here and there's snow on the ground like December and January, but yeah, this year it's been 4 months straight of snow on the ground. Like today and yesterday are kind of the first days it started to melt. But I
Yeah,
go Nordic skiing and stuff, so it's a good thing. I really like going out on the snow and being on the skis.
that's good. Yeah, I hear a lot of people say it's good cross training. Me personally, just not into skiing. I don't really like the cold. So I used to be snowboarding, but not anymore. Kind of gave all that up. So, but you did mention Thailand, running for the worlds and everything like that. How was it to pin on that USA jersey? I mean, I know I follow a lot of sports from hockey, baseball, you name it. I love sports and see being able to pin on a USA jersey. Like, how was that?
Yeah, it was really cool. I feel like so I ran in college at Colorado, and I think on our team, just making a USA team like that was always a goal. So it definitely fulfilled a lot of dreams I had earlier in my running career, like college dreams or high school dreams.
Nice.
But what's that?
Did you ever picture it'd be on the trails, or did you always picture that like, hey, a road marathon or anything else in the Olympics?
Yeah, I thought if I ever made a team, it would be like the steeplechase. Uh, Especially like early on in college, I thought I'd have a better shot maybe of like maybe making a team like that. But I don't know. I mean, guys in the steeple to make the team are running under 8:20 now, and I wasn't even close to that. But I guess when I was like a freshman and sophomore, I thought maybe there was a chance. Um, yeah, but no, it was a really fun experience. I loved the Team USA and all the volunteers. And I feel like the men's 80K team, we got really close and had a great time racing and hanging out. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, so
That's cool. Now I know when you were over there, at least from the videos, it looks like you did go with the speed goat.
yes.
Why did you go with the speed goat for over there? I mean, what was it about the terrain that made you go, I got to go with the speed goat for this upcoming race?
Yeah, so for me, I was trying to decide between the Speed Goat and the Tecton X. Um, and it kind of came down to the terrain. Like the course was 80 kilometers, so just under 50 miles, and it had about 16,000 feet of climbing. Um, it wasn't it wasn't like that technical, but it was definitely like rocky and rooty in some parts. And I just felt like I love the Tecton, but I
Okay.
felt like the Speed Goat is so good on all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
um, that I thought that would be fine. Now maybe if it was like less climbing and not as technical as it was, I would have gone with the Tecton. But yeah, it seemed like a good shoe for the Speed Goat, especially considering like it was in the jungle and could be kind of wet.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. One thing I will say is that why I like the speed goat a little over the Tecton is I feel like this bites the mountain a little bit more. So when you are having more route or up climb, this like for me personally, I think the lugs are a little bit deeper and they just are a little bit more aggressive. They don't look that aggressive, but they definitely get the job done. Is that kind of like what you're thinking? Like it just attacked the mountain a little bit better?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the Speed Goat has just better overall traction than the Tecton. But I will like the Tecton's great.
Yeah.
Um, I guess just sometimes when it's muddy, I prefer something like the Speed Goat or the Mafate.
Okay.
And yeah, it wasn't that muddy the day of the race, but I feel like it definitely could have been, depending on the rain.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely a shoe that I really like. Typically on a weekly, training block, how are you using the Speed Goat for yours? Or is it mainly long runs? Like, how are you typically incorporating this in your shoe rotation?
Yeah, I think when I'm running trails, I usually wear the Speed Goat. Uh, so it would be like easy days and long runs. Um, yeah, it's kind of my all-around shoe, and I've been wearing it for years. I guess I even started wearing the Speed Goat before I was a Hoka athlete. So I truly like this shoe. Um, yeah, so I'd say it's like my main go-to, especially when I'm not running roads and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like the Evio Speed Goat was that shoe you saw almost on every starting lineup. It was just light, it was fast. I did, like I said, I like the shoe, but one thing that really bothers me is the elf-like collars they're putting on that. Do you ever have like an issue with like debris getting in your shoe at all with your client, running at all? Because like to me, it's just like a funnel for stuff to get in my shoe.
Oh, really? I haven't had it running. I mean, I've had that happen when I'm backpacking,
Okay.
like hiking with a big pack. I haven't noticed it with that, but I guess I could see that. Yeah, I was a little concerned about that heel collar because like I have kind of chronic Achilles problems,
Okay.
and a really padded like high heel collar like that will sometimes give me problems. But fortunately, with this shoe, it hasn't seemed to cause any issues.
So what you're saying is my running pace is pretty much your hiking pace, and that's why we have the equivalent experience. Is that what you're saying?
Oh gosh, that's not what I meant.
Man,
It must just be my walking style. I like flick my feet or something. I don't know because I always notice that hiking, I'll get so much stuff in my socks.
man, I'm telling you. And like the one thing I've noticed about all Hokas, and I don't really use them personally, but I'm always curious, how do you put a gator on a Hoka? There's like no gator connecting. Is that like a
Ooh, I don't know. I don't wear
me either?
gaiters.
But like that was like the one someone was like, "Oh, you're getting rocks in it, throw a gator on there," and I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be really cool." But I actually have no idea how to put a gator on a Hoka.
I don't know. I don't they have like a little gator strap you put on the
I have
tongue
no
or
idea. Maybe.
gosh. Yeah, I don't
So,
know.
oh man, but yeah, like I said, this is definitely a shoe. I liked the previous version a little bit better, if I'm being completely honest with you. I felt like this was a really good shoe, and then this shoe came into my life, and you mentioned a couple of times the Mafate, and
Hmm.
I don't know, I just felt like the foam they're using in the shoe just put the goat to like shame. Is that just like, I mean, did you feel that way a little bit? I mean, it sounds like this is your go-to race shoe, but like I know you're running in this. What are your thoughts on the Mafate?
Yeah, the new Mafate update, I definitely started wearing that shoe way more. I liked the old one, but it just felt a little stiff and bulky for me.
Yep.
But the new one, I agree, like the foam is awesome. Like it doesn't wear out that quickly. I think it has the ProFly midsole, I believe.
Yeah, the Profile
Um,
Plus. So I got that.
ProFly Plus.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is a huge upgrade in my personal opinion. I think with the newer shoes with that Profile Plus, even like the Rocket X, that new foam they're using, it just feels like a different experience personally.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I really like the new Mafate as well. I would say once they came out with the new Speedgoat 5 and the new Mafate, I definitely was going like long runs were more commonly in the Mafate, and then like my easy days were in the Speedgoat. So
Okay.
yeah, I agree. I really like the Mafate. Probably I probably wouldn't race in it just because it's a little heavier, but like that could be I could be convinced otherwise too. I'm not that picky.
Yeah, no, I think for somebody that is looking for that extra padding, I think that's what this shoe is perfect for. If you want that extra cush, you're not going to be coming in the top of the field, but you're that middle packer to even end. Like this shoe is perfect. I took this out on a 50K post COVID, and I was just dying out there. My body hurt, but my feet were like, okay, this is really nice. Like the foam was nice. It just helped me putter through my 50K. So that's where I kind of see this shoe. I think if you're looking to go super fast, this is light, it's nimble, but this shoe is that comfy cruiser. So if you know you're going to be out there for a long day out on the trail, this just feels so nice underfoot.
Yeah, yeah, that's I agree. I think yeah, the new Speedgo is definitely different than the last one, and it just feels like a little bit lower to the ground.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel as max cushioned as like it used to. And I do agree. I think the Mafate may have like not replaced it, but like fit into that groove.
Yeah, no, and it's really funny because like before you would think max cushion, Hoka. Now you look at a shoe like this and you're like, oh, that's not that max cushion anymore, which is kind of crazy to think. Probably when you first got it running, the shoes were super thin and you're as low to the ground as possible. Now you look at a speed goat that once was upon a time like, whoa, I can't believe you're going to take that out on a trail. You're going to roll an ankle. Now it's like, oh, phew, that's a minimalist shoe, which I think is bonkers. Now all of a sudden, Hoka went from like the only maximal shoe to like, oh, that's actually an average height now for a shoe.
It seems like every company has at least one shoe that looks quite similar to a speed goat or a Mafate now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like actually, when I was a freshman in high school is when that book Born to Run came out.
Okay.
And I was totally influenced. Like I bought Vibram Five Fingers when I was a freshman. And it's kind of funny now. Like, I don't know, I guess that was like 10 or that was more than 10 years ago. Geez. Yeah, like 13 years ago, I was running in those shoes and now I'm just like this Hoka athlete, completely opposite. And I way prefer the Max Cush.
Can you imagine last year getting ready for states and throwing on those 5-finger shoes? You know what I mean? Be like, hey, I have 100 miles to go run in this shoe. Can you like, I just like can't even fathom that right now.
No, I can't even fathom that. Yeah, because even by the end of 100-miler, like I feel like you want more cushion than even the
Yes.
speed goat at the end of that.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that like, no matter what distance you finish the run, you're like, I needed it a little bit more. I don't care what pace you're at. You could be first like you, or you could be last. You end up that run, you're like, man, add a couple more millimeters of stack. I needed that at the end of the race. You know, I don't care about my ankles. I just want cushion. So I like I said, I remember I read that book and I was a little bit older when I read that book. And I remember thinking, yeah, no, never happening. Never wearing a minimalist shoe. I think I wore one around the gym one time and I was like, yeah, no, not happening. I step on a block and I'm done. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it. I mean, granted, I was a freshman in high school, and so I was pretty tiny. You know, I was like 100 pounds and maybe 5'3". I was a pretty small, and I got to think that's the only reason I was able to get through it. Because yeah, that wouldn't work right now.
You also have that like high school strength where you can like be sleeping in a weird pose, or you can do something really dumb and you bounce out like and you're good to go. Nowadays, it's like, oh, I think I threw my back out. At least for me, like the things I once could do, like now I'm like, what was I thinking? I was an idiot. How did I ever survive like doing that type of stuff? So
that like sledding. Yep.
Yes, I have 2 girls now and sledding, and I'm like, oh, we should do this. And then my wife goes like, man, don't.
Yeah, you should watch.
Yeah, let's just watch this one, honey. And I'm like, wise decision. That's why I know I married you. So
yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no. So I definitely think the evolution, but also like I feel like the older I'm getting, you know, there's 2 things that are happening to me. My shorts are getting shorter, and my shoes are getting heftier. It just honestly, just one of those things. It's just like the bigger the stack, the shorter the shorts, and I feel like I'm a happy camper out there. Like I can't.
Yeah, there you go. And maybe your runs are getting longer. I don't know.
They are, yeah. I mean, I never thought I'd be at this age, you know, doing ultra marathons. I thought those people were nuts, but you know, here I am. So I know you mentioned another shoe too that actually became a shoe I really like, and that's the Challenger. You said you runs in this one. This was a huge surprise to me. I'll be honest with you. Every other Challenger I've run in kind of was a clunker. I didn't really like it. I was like, that's a lot of foam, but it's just not really doing anything. Like, so I know you said you've been getting some runs into this shoe. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yes, I've been a really big fan of the Challenger. And I agree with you. Like I ran in the old one and I thought it was fine. I would say like the ride was a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
Then the new one, like it seems like they added a rocker to the forefoot because it just rides so much smoother. And I actually, I would say I got my first Challenger about 6 weeks ago, and I do almost all my easy days in that shoe. Mainly because right now, like in Missoula where I live, it's like pretty icy everywhere.
Okay.
And so the Challenger is almost like the Clifton for me, but with trail lugs.
Yeah.
So I prefer just running on the Challenger on the roads, and it's kind of been my like I would say like go-to hybrid between trail running and road running. And it's awesome for the ice. So I'm stoked on the new update for sure.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's one of the only trail shoes, at least I've worn, that doesn't have Vibram outsole. But I still find the grip is really good. You know, from going to roads where, I run in rain, it's cold, so it's a little bit icy, nothing too crazy. And then getting on the trail, like I was really surprised by this. I went out with a buddy and we both were rocking the Challenger. And we were like, let's just rip it. Let's see 15 miles out of the box. And we both were looking at each other and we're like, you sure this is the Challenger? Like this is not the Challenger of old. It just felt great. Because we, as I mentioned before we jumped on, like we cross a lot of roads. So having a that I can do 4 miles on the trail, then a mile on the road, then back on the trails, vice versa, is something I really need. And there's some shoes, like for example, the Mafate is okay on the roads. It's not great. After a while doing 2 miles on the road, you're kind of like, kind of wish it was.
It's like driving around on winter tires. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. This is just like was a sweet spot for me. And yeah, so but you said you're doing most of your like recovery kind of runs in this one, long runs.
Yeah, I will. I would say the last 6 weeks, almost everything. And yeah, like just because the roads are kind of icy here, it's been perfect. Yeah, recovery runs, long runs. I was really surprised. They change it up and it just rides so much smoother. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, again, I know it's not everything when you're getting a shoe, but I think it's just prettier. I think the other shoe is okay looking. I got this colorway and I was like, damn, that's a nice looking shoe. I personally, when I look down and the shoe looks good, like I feel faster. Again, that's a placebo effect. I know it has nothing to do with performance, but when you get a shoe out of the box and it just looks dynamite, like it helps, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, my old pair of Challengers, it was hard to beat. They were like bright yellow, and I also had this bright yellow pair of like big winter gloves that I would wear. So it's kind of hard to beat that combo of the old, but I will say the new one across the board looks better.
I mean, I guess that's good for you. If you ever get lost in the woods, just have your big feet and your gloves up and people will find you, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm like the guy from, what is that, Big Bird with the yellow?
Yeah, that was me around. So, or almost if they were red, you could be Ronald McDonald. But yeah, just be Big Bird out on the trails and everything like that. But I guess for you too, I mean, being in your area, probably having bright colors. I don't know what hunting looks like, but I know personally for me, there are certain trails where you can potentially have hunters at the same time. Do you ever run into that issue where having a bright color like a yellow mitten or these crazy color shoes helps?
Oh, I mean, it probably would be a good idea to wear like orange, like hunter's orange, maybe in October and November if you were running in those areas.
Yeah.
But most of the areas I run that time of the year are just like the town trails, and people they shouldn't be hunting there. That would be a little weird.
Yeah, I live right outside of Philadelphia, so they kind of just do whatever the heck they want, to be quite frank. Pennsylvania is an interesting state, let's put it that way.
Even my friend from New Jersey in college, he said he would have to run in hunter's orange. And he like lived near the city, but it sounds like you guys have hunters a little closer to the trails than the town.
I mean, anywhere you can potentially bag yourself a buck, they're hunting pretty much in Pennsylvania, Jersey. Let's just put it that way. So I don't really think there's like, oh, there's that area. There's like certain times where look up the phone. Ooh, yep, not going hunting or not going hunting today. That is just not worth it. Especially if you're not wearing the bright color. So
dang. I think they have bright orange Mafates you might be able to wear. I have seen those.
I got them.
Well, they're right in front of
you. They are. But I mean, they are bright orange, but I definitely I'm not usually a bright color guy. I love a white shoe, to be quite frank. I know on the trails it's kind of stupid, but like I love a white shoe. It just looks great. But this one was actually not that bad. So I would say like this is my least attractive shoe out of all the Hokas I've been rocking.
Oh man.
Right. It's kind of a meh. It's just meh, So, then the Speed Goat used to be the king, I feel like. Now I feel like these other shoes are taking the throne from the Speed Goat.
Yeah, I think I still like the Speed Goat the most, I would say, but I feel like all the other shoes have leveled up now because for me, like the Speed Goat used to be the only thing I wore. And now I feel like I've added the Challenger and the Mafate and the Tecton like all into the rotation. So I would agree. Like, I think the other ones have definitely leveled up. It's cool to see.
Now, I know they're testing the newest version. This is the 5, and I know some athletes are testing the 6. Are you trying any prototypes out or anything like that? Or are you pretty much only running in what's available?
Right now, I've only run in what's available with the Speed Goat, but I would love to try the 6. That's exciting.
Yeah, I've heard there's some minor adjustments. Nothing to the heel, or heel collar, which was a little bit
Yeah.
disappointing to me. I was hoping they would go with a little bit of a curve, go back to like the EVO Speed Goat, but it sounds like the foam is going to be getting an update. And personally, I would love to just throw on ProFly Plus. Give
Oh,
it
that
the
would be
ProFly
perfect.
Plus, and like you don't really have to do much to the upper. Just give it the ProFly Plus, and I think that would be a match made in heaven.
I think that'd be perfect. Yeah. Especially I think in even terms of durability, I think it would just last a little bit longer. And
It
yeah,
would.
after a few hundred miles, you could still be wearing them just fine. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like the Mach 5, the road shoe, I think it was the Mach 5. They did the Profile Plus in that one too. And it went from being a shoe that after 200 miles, it felt like dead to well over 400 miles and it feels great. And I think if you did the same treatment to this one, I mean, you're set. And personally, at least
Hmm.
that's what I think. So, no, but it definitely, like I said, I think that Hoka, I think I made a video about this. I feel like they finally have a rotation. Like not, I felt like before the rotation was a little kind of clunky. You had the speed goat, and that pretty much was it. Now you have your race day option if you want this one. You have your long run day shoe, or you're going to be beating up your legs, and now you have
Hmm.
your road to trail shoe as well as if you want to take this for a long run. And I think having a rotation, you pretty much could be one brand and be pretty happy with this rotation.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think like all those shoes are really versatile and then but then they crush their specialty as well. Like yeah, like if I'm going for a big mountainous run, like in a wilderness area and some of it's off trail, like the Mafate is great because the traction's perfect. Speed Goat, I mean, Speed Goat can do that too.
Yep.
But it's like a little bit lighter. And then yeah, Challenger is kind of a hybrid for me. I wear the mock on the streets and
Yeah.
I mean sometimes I'll even wear the mock on like a buffed out trail, but yeah, I feel like with those shoes and then even adding in the Tecton, which is their carbon plated shoe. Yeah, I'm very, very lucky to be with Hoka because I'm really happy with their lineup.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say so. Like I said, I've been testing a ton of shoes, and to build out a shoe rotation with one brand, I was actually really surprised at how hard it was. So, like I said, definitely one of those things you can definitely tell Hoka's going in that right direction. Now, I do know you mentioned the Tecton X a couple different times, the first version. Like, do you run a lot in that shoe? Because personally, I tried that shoe and I just was not a huge fan of it. I couldn't tell
Mm,
if I was actually getting benefits from the carbon plates. And honestly, at the end of the run, I was like, it felt like a good shoe, but like just didn't feel perfect to me.
hmm.
Do you run a lot in that? What types of runs are you using that for?
Yeah, I feel like for that one, I've been doing it. Usually, I try to go on runs that aren't as technical, so
Okay.
a little bit more buffed out trail. I will say though, it handles a lot better on the rocks than I assumed it would. Um, I had my reservations about having a carbon plate on the trail,
Yep.
but they have like two carbon rods essentially, and
Yeah.
so it gives it like lateral flexibility. It doesn't just like throw you from side to side.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a shock in
but
a car. You know what I mean? When you're driving up a,
oh yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much,
yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah, totally. But no, I've really liked it. I would say I use it for like workouts if I'm on the trail, especially like before the World Championships. I was doing a lot of workouts where I would run up this mountain in town. It's called Mount Sentinel, but pretty steep. It's like 2,000 feet of climbing and just over a mile. So I'd run hard up Sentinel to get like a big effort in, and then I'd run back down to the bottom, and there's a flat path right there. And then on the path, I would do maybe some like K repeats or mile repeats, and then maybe go back up Sentinel again. I mean, I totally took a page from Killian's book. This is the workouts he was doing. Um, but the Tecton was great because you could, you run up Sentinel. That's it's a trail shoe, so it's perfect. But then when I get back down to the flat, like you're in a carbon plated shoe. So I really appreciated it for those types of things. Um, and I'll probably wear it for races that are under. I would think I would do it for races that are under like a 50 mile.
okay.
But if it's farther than that, I would go with more cushioning.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
you just want that extra cushion at the end. At the end of that, really speed or cushion trumps the speed, in your opinion?
I would say because even a race like Worlds, which was a 50 mile, like I mean, it took 7 hours. Like I wasn't running that fast. I think my average pace per mile was like 9 minute pace.
Okay.
Um, which I just feel like, the carbon plate's helpful, but you run a 9 minute pace. It felt like I just didn't need like the extra
Okay.
bounce right there. But yeah, I mean, I'm signed up for the Canyons 50K. next month, so I'll probably wear the Tecton for that.
Oh, nice.
That's probably what I'll do. I mean, to be determined, but yeah.
So, I mean, that brings me to my next question. So, your next race up is the Canyons 50K. They
Mhm.
got hit with a ton of snow. Like, what is that? I mean, that course could look like you might be throwing on those running through the snow that you use on the Rocket X, to get.
Oh gosh, yeah, the micro spikes. I sure
I
hope
mean,
not.
the snow's not stopping, and we're almost in, what is it, end of March almost. So, I mean, how does that play a role into, we talk about like heat training, we talk a lot about different like rocky terrain and stuff like that, but like in reality, how do you plan for snow like that?
Gosh, I gotta think the 50K won't be hit with snow because this year the 50K is starting and ending in
Okay.
Auburn. So
Okay.
I'm imagining it's like more of those foothills trails. But yeah, gosh, like the 100K or the 100 miler, I don't know where the new 100 mile course goes. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the 100K because
Okay.
even last year when I ran canyons, there was about 4 or 5 inches of fresh snow, like up at the finish at China Wall, that we had to get through. And yeah, you got to think that I mean, I don't know how much snow is up there, but I
Dude,
wouldn't be surprised if it's quite a bit.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're like, you see your competitor, make a snowball and chuck it at them. I'm thinking that could be a competitive edge. Start getting out there, getting the arm loosened because I think there's going to be a lot of snow out there. I think that's going to play a huge role in that golden ticket. Now, I know you already have your golden ticket and you're only doing the 50K, but that
Yeah,
100K, I think the snow is going to determine.
maybe. Yeah, maybe they should stash a pair of skis like in their drop bag, a
Yeah,
pair of skimo skis, and just
there
up
you
the
go.
final finish up there. I don't know if that's allowed, but they
Uh,
could try it.
if it's not on the rule book, we can do whatever you want, and then you get credit for
Yeah.
someone getting a golden ticket. Um,
Uh-huh.
Now you do have Western States coming up. Besides canyons and Western States, I mean, what else do you have for the trails on the books?
Yeah, so this year I'm planning, yeah, Canyons 50K, Western States going back. Really excited about that. And then I'm signed up for CCC September 1st. And I'm also signed up for Sierras now before that. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, Sierras and Al, in my opinion, is like the most competitive sub ultra race in the world. So for
Oh,
trail.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I've kind of been laying low this winter and not running as much,
Smart.
just with the hopes of being able to run more after Western States. Because I know last year before Western States, I ran the 100K at Canyons, I ran a 50K at Chuckanut,
Yeah.
and I kind of felt like after Western States, like the season was over.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful that this year, with less running this winter, that hopefully I can keep running after States. But we'll see. It's crazy.
I mean, the CCC is probably that. I mean, all the UTMB races are getting super competitive, but I feel like the CCC, that's like a full out sprint. I mean, it's no longer. I mean, that thing is insane.
They ran fast last year. I mean, yeah, Petter Engdahl and was it not John Albin, but I'm blanking on the name right now. But I feel like they were sub 10 hours, which
Yeah,
is
they were.
that's cooking right along for a race that's 20,000 feet of climbing. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you never would have
yeah.
guessed. You would have been like, "Oh, it's a relatively flat one." No, not at all. And they just are cruising through it. So now I know I don't definitely want to jump on one pure piece of gear you're trying because I know it's dropping soon for Hoka, the Rocket X2. Dude, what are your thoughts on that one? That thing looks like I'd mentioned that Hoka feels like they have a rotation for the trail now. It looks like Hoka might actually have a shoe to compete with the big boys on the roads. What are your thoughts on the Rocket X?
Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about the Rocket X2. I mean, not that I run that fast anymore or run like fast roads, but like uh next year is the Olympic trials, and to run at the Olympic trials you have to run a 2:18 in the marathon, and that's definitely a goal of mine, is to be at the starting line of the Olympic trials next year. And so I'm so pumped they came up with the Rocket X2. Yeah, I've worn it I did a half marathon, about 3 weeks ago, and wore it for it. And yeah, I ran. It's not an impressive time, but I did get the course record. It was 1:08, and it was kind of icy. Uh, and I just feel like off of my training this winter, which was primarily skiing, I didn't really have any business running 1:08, and I got to think the shoe helped quite a bit.
I absolutely helped a little bit, but also like I saw your Strava about it. I mean, you're running in snow, so it's not like you were on the roads. I mean, that you're running through snow. So 108 in snow, pretty damn awesome. I
It
mean,
was tough. I had to stop and put on micro spikes at mile 5. So
okay,
that was, yeah, I would say the first 5 miles was like smooth sailing, felt great. And then once I put on the traction, it was pretty tough. But uh either way, like I'm really pumped with that shoe. I think, yeah, I think it's now like really competitive
yeah.
with what Nike has and what Asics has and Saucony. And yeah, I think the Hoka road athletes will be crushing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now I know you said you want to potentially go for that Olympic qualifier 218. Do you have a marathon or you might want to put out there, or are you going to go for the half marathon approach?
I think I would try the marathon at CIM. So that
Ooh,
would be, it's kind of the last chance to qualify.
yeah.
Um, First week of December, but I think that would give me enough time of recovery after CCC and then still to have a quick build. Um, yeah,
That'd be awesome. I mean, and I see CIM is like that course that a lot of people go. It's that last hurrah, either to get into Boston if you're looking for that qualifier time, or they get on that Olympic qualifier time. I mean, that is a course that is made for speed and to go. So, I mean, 218 is not easy, but that'd be exciting to see. I mean, if you can crush Western States, crush CCC, and then get a qualifier, I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment. Just attempting that is an accomplishment, in my opinion. I mean, because that's like you're going all different types of levels right there.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's an exciting schedule. But yeah, I guess we'll just see how it plays out after Western States. I know last year I had to take about a month off after Western States because I was so wrecked, but hopefully now that I have one under my belt, that won't happen again. But
There
we'll
you go.
see. It's yeah, I'm really excited about it, and uh, I'm also just excited to try running flat again. Like I love the trails, and that's what I'll be doing. But every 4 years, I think it's a cool thing to shoot for. Yeah, especially since like in college I was kind of injured and I didn't necessarily have the career that I was hoping I would have in like the steeplechase or the 5K or anything like that. Um, I'm just interested to see how like a marathon would play out given, the amount of training we do for trail and see if it actually carries over to running 5 minute pace. So to be determined.
TBD, but I'll definitely be watching that starting lineup at CIM because, like I said, that's the course to do it. And I know they lowered the time for the men, and I know they lowered the time for the women because those times were, people. I mean, at Atlanta, that it was stacked field. I mean, there are so many runners out there. So, at
So
least
many
in the
people.
states, yeah, at least in the states, so many people are getting faster. So I think it's the technology of the shoes, the technology of recovery, and just we're eating better too. To be quite honest with you, I think it's like the whole package right there to get you that 218. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And man, yeah, because they made what the old men's time was 2:19, so they made that go down to 2:18. But even the half marathon now, you have to run under 1:03. So
that's
that's
bonkers.
yeah, that's
But
I'm going for the marathon. I feel like I'm a little bit farther away from 1:03 than I am from 2:18, just
yeah,
from my projections doing strides and things. So yeah.
I've only ever done one marathon, and I know it hurts a lot more, in my opinion, than the 50Ks I've done. It's
Oh,
just,
I
man,
bet.
it just hurts, and that's the only thing I say. So for me, wintertime, I spend a lot of time on my speed, just focusing on speed, make sure my mechanics look good. So by the time spring comes through, fall, like I feel like I'm running out of the gates. So
Which marathon did you do?
I did Philly.
Oh,
So
cool. And that's pretty
yeah,
hilly, isn't it?
it's a little bit hilly, yeah, but it's not terrible. So I
Yeah,
have a mistake of not looking at courses before I run them. I prepare everything, look at shoes. I don't look at courses. So I'm like,
that's kind of
oh,
fun.
cool. And I turn a corner. I'm like, crap, we're about to be in Manayunk and it's all hills. I'm like, oh, I'm cruising. I got a smile on my face. And then I turn the corner. I'm like, oh, why did I not look at this course map? So yeah, I do that quite often. Almost everybody's like, dude, did you see those hills? And I'm like, yeah, didn't look at the course. Kind of just going on the fly here. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I will say, like, even when you're running a marathon and trying to run at pace, like it's just so much, hills are so much different than when you're actually in a trail race. Because you kind of like control your effort when you're doing a trail race and like how long it's going to take. But gosh, I feel like when you're trying to run a certain pace and you hit a hill, it's like it's really hard to be okay with adjusting that pace. I
yeah,
mean, I even found that in my little half marathon I did. There was a big hill and I was trying to run like 5:0. I was trying to run 5:10 pace and like totally blew myself up on this tiny hill just because I like wouldn't bend the pace. And yeah, it's different than trail running for sure.
It is, and it's just the culture itself is different, you know. So now we're running on about 40 minutes. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else you want to chat about? Any brands or anything like that? Or anything exciting you want to plug?
Oh man, I feel like I think you and I had some banter on Instagram about the Super Bowl results. I'm a
Dude,
Chiefs fan. You're an Eagles fan.
and they handed Patrick Mahomes the Super Bowl. Like
Oh,
that
I
is
know that was a little controversial at the end there. I would agree.
so it was a little controversial. I agree on one thing when it comes to the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl. It was an awesome Super Bowl, all in all. This call absolutely sucked. You know, it could have gone either way. But I think one thing we both can agree on is that field was atrocious. That is not a
Oh,
field that should have been played on.
Yes, the amount that they were falling and slipping was kind of unbelievable. Yeah, the announcers were talking about the type of grass they were using, which I didn't even realize would affect that. But I don't think they should use that brand of grass again.
So, you know, the slipping and sliding you saw at the Super Bowl? I'm predicting that's what we're going to see at Canyons 100K.
That could be though. Oh man, we'll
Telling you.
see. I never know. Auburn is confusing because sometimes it's raining and sometimes it's 90 degrees in April. So, uh, for my sake, I kind of hope it's 90 since I'll be coming from Montana. But yeah, we'll be ready for it. Or I guess I hope it's not 90. I hope it's raining, not 90. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, because Canyon's probably like a tune-up race for you, right? Getting ready for it. Not going to be an A race. So I imagine you want nice conditions, just ease into the race. So
Yeah.
now I do have one question for you. Currently, you are undefeated in your ultra distance. You got to keep that streak going? Or what are you thinking?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I didn't expect.
It has been wild to be undefeated. Like I didn't expect it right away with trail running. I thought I might be able to be good, but I figured it would take, a bunch of trial and error.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really cool to be undefeated, but I know that streak will come to an end. Just with the nature of the sport, like if you're running 50 miles or 100 miles, like just shit happens.
Yeah.
One of these times. So I'd love to keep my streak as long as possible, but I am well aware and have accepted that.
Well, hey, I mean, people told Floyd Mayweather his 50-0 couldn't happen. And he's 50-0. He's retired. I don't know what the heck he's doing off the out of the boxing ring, but he went 50-0. So who knows? You might go down in the history as the guy that went undefeated. So like,
that would be insane.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, that would be insane. Well, we'll see. Because I feel like this year's schedule is that I've decided is going to be competitive. With Western States and then Sierras and Allen CCC. So I feel like to go undefeated there would be pretty awesome, and that's what to shoot for. But I can't.
All right. Well, I think that is a perfect spot to go. We can all think about Adam going undefeated, when he's old and gray, and how that's going to look. But I definitely appreciate you jumping on this call with me. I had a blast talking about gear with you. After this year, probably have to tag back up and see, how your races went and talk about upcoming gear for next year.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's fun to talk about all Hoka's new shoes and even a little football. And yeah, sorry about all my technical difficulties. I think we finally figured it out.
No, we're good. So to see you next time when we talk, then we'll be over the technical issues. So now we're good.
So.
Like I said, definitely a pleasure talking to you. And thank you everybody for tuning in. And you let me know what Hoka shoe you're loving.